Beacon Press Audio presents Vinegar Hill by Colm Toibín. This audiobook is narrated by the author, published by Beacon Press Audio, 2022. September. The first September of the pandemic. The skies are watercolour white and grey, and Pembroke Street is empty, and so is Leeson Street. This is the time after time. What the world will look like when the world is over, when people have been ushered into seats reserved for them in the luminous heavens. Moving towards the corner of Upper Pembroke Street and Leeson Street, an elderly man wears a mask. His walk is sprightly, his movements brisk. I catch his watery eye for a watery moment. Without stopping, all matter of fact, he says, "Someone told me you were dead." In Los Angeles. Who can say what he had in mind or where he was headed? The last man ever to walk a dog. Water was scarce, and the sun burnished the paintings in the Getty. About suffering, of course, they were never wrong. But none of us imagined that between two trucks on the 110 I would see Icarus crawl. His bronze smile and tanned legs hover in the mind as much else fades. I told him about the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of souls, and life everlasting. But it was, he said, too little, too late. Lux aeternae, tantum ergo, dies irae. Even the dear old hymns would not give light its shade, shade its dark. People moved through their houses, wondering where in the name of God they had left their phones, their glasses, their e-cigarettes, their take on what must now unfold. Curves. Within the body is its own sweet sound. It starts as echo and fades fast. In the bricked-up burden of bone, two old notes repeat, both fierce. The city curves. The brightest will is open. I have been here for years. There are lights and wires. There is some beauty. It is almost enough. Mysterium Lunae. Last night I saw that the moon was empty in the sky. The stars around did what they do. They are millions of miles away, or millions of years, and are totally exhausted. But the moon is blank, just a space to show where it might have been. We will tell whoever will attend that the moon used to catch light from the sun and waxed and waned, full, sickle, half-moon, and the songs, blue moon, song to the moon from Rusalka, Moon River, the dark side of the moon and the melodies. It was all the rage once, the moon. It was a large step, a sad step for mankind. Soon the sun will run out of hydrogen, and it will all be gone. The disappearance of the moon is just the start. I am working day and night on my book, knowing it will be the final word on the matter. I will compose, with aid from scientists, a description in concise prose of the time before the bang, the gorgeous vacancy, the pre-astral soup, gravity dancing like a herring on the griddle-o, and the sly almostness of atoms and particles, and how long a neutron took to be certain that it was not a proton, and the war between infinity and eternity that would have gone on forever, had the world, oozing imminence, not begun to roll, with its built-in obsolescence, its sell-by date, its oomph, its ooh-la-la, its everything that is the case. It is calm here now. Waves have stopped, of course. The sea has settled down. Soon it will be a flyover state. There is nothing to compel its tides. At gatherings they read Matthew Arnold's poem and marvel at the lines about the sea being calm tonight. What else is there? But it wasn't always calm. I can swear to that. I remember Redondo Beach and the waves high, and the sun going down over the horizon. Strange, I have no memory of the moon, but it must have been there somewhere. But no matter what, You can look all you want, the moon is in the past, like Analog, or the Western Seaboard, or the Library at Alexandria, or Sic Transit Gloria Mundi, a lovely old saying, long eclipsed by more fashionable tongues, that yet are speechless at the vacancy in the night sky. They are howling at the thing not there, that we want back now, or at least soon. The Long Trick. Ingmar Bergman was still alive the time I sailed on the Estonia, past the inhabited islands beyond Stockholm on a winter Sunday, just as the dark was descending. I dreamed that he might come and mournfully wave at us, or that I might be lucky enough to catch a glimpse of him brooding at twilight, knowing how doomed we are, all of us. This was the same Estonia that sank between Stockholm and Tallinn the following year. 852 people drowned. But tonight feels long rather than dangerous. The man sharing my cabin goes to bed early. There's a restaurant for Swedes, as there always will be, and another, lesser one, for Estonians with grim frankfurters and runny coleslaw. I wish I could recount some premonition, that I foresaw the water rushing through the narrow corridors, waking us up from our sleep, and then everything dark and people calling out in Baltic languages, and then water covering everything, eventually even the ship. But it was ordinary on my night, and we arrived in Tallinn just as morning did. It was like that too when I went out on a boat to the Great Barrier Reef a month or so after 2 divers had been left behind by mistake. It was simple. With everyone on deck, the man in charge had shouted, "Is everyone here?" What could the passengers do? They shouted yes. The 2 who were missing were skilled at using oxygen sparingly, so they were still down there, investigating the deep as the boat started its engine and chugged back to Port Douglas. How clear it must have been once they surfaced that they would be unlikely to make it back to shore. I suppose they must have shouted. Maybe they swam for a while and hoped that the boat would return for them when their absence was discovered. They must have really struggled before they died. On my trip, I was too scared to dive, not because of them, the 2 who disappeared, whose remains must be somewhere under us, but because I worried that I would come up too fast, which can be fatal. Your lungs can just explode. Instead, I snorkeled or swam with my face down in the welcoming water, looking at the different blues, made all the more vivid by the light that seeped through the surface. And then I turned to float and look at the sky. It was pale and washed, as though it had been too long under water. The boat was in easy reach, so there was really nothing to worry about, nothing to suggest disaster, except the waves themselves, the swell that is unnatural even at the best of times, all highs and lows, untrustworthy even when calm, just undulating willfulness, no conscience, no regrets. 2 Grecos. There was a fierce storm in the night, the sea lunging at us, slapping on stone. She slept to the beat of that in the old bed, the mattress stuffed with wool. Nothing disturbed her except soft sounds, with the creaking of stairs or pages turning, the pulling back of sheets or a half sigh. She woke in hard fright and came downstairs to find out what the racket was. Thunder comforted her, made her yawn. That night when old Casas and Mad Roussignol and the young crew that hung around the bar brought the Grecos to the town, I warned her that there might be noise. I sold them beer sometimes and knew them all, and they walked quietly like it was God was calling out to be restored, having been found rotting in an old shop. Nothing could save us now. The sound of feet drove her to the window, mad, roaring at the neighbours and civil guards to help. Thunder all night. I have left it out, the beauty of slight things gathered and cast off. You will drive through the night on the road from Lleida to La Seu. Coils and wire untrapped in time. Rivers squandered mud. There will be marches and protests against the fierce gleam of the proven self. There is no boat to carry us away. a small rock on top.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?